Okay, hello guys, can you hear me? Okay, welcome guys.
Recording in progress.
Hello? Okay
Okay,
guys,
guys, can you guys hear me? Hello? Okay, can you guys hear me? If you can hear me, just if you can hear me, just say something, please.
I can hear you, sir. So I guess we can hear you.
Okay, great. So let's just jump straight into it so we can get this over with as fast as possible. Okay. Victor, Bayomi, you guys are welcome. So quickly, I just want to know, are there questions that you guys have concerning the challenge that you might need clarification about?
Okay, I have a question, sir.
Yeah.
Concerning the challenge, the 20-hour challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're working with a team.
Yeah.
We are working with a team to make our films.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if I don't know the names of all my team yet?
Well, you can always send an updated list. You can, at least you fill the form, that's why you're here, and you've registered your team. What we found out over the years that even just before the challenge starts, some people modify members of their teams, and some people add, some people drop members. But the important thing is that as of the time when you start making your film, we need to know everybody who's on set with you. Because at the end of the challenge, everybody gets a certificate, and the team that's like every year there's a best real-time film challenge movie awards that is presented the next year. So of course, if we're giving certificates, we need to know all those who were part of the team. So of course, that's why we need the updated names. So even though you don't have all the names there now, it's just important that by the time you're about to start making your movie, uh, just send us an update. And that's the final list we're using, because the moment the filmmaking challenge starts, we start preparing the certificates for everyone who took part. So that means we can't add or remove any name after that point. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir. It answers. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah. And for the challenge, I think the way it's going to happen is that because there's a lot of concern about, okay, what if some people submit something they've been working on, or if some people start earlier, but there's really no way that's going to happen, because the theme for the filmmaking challenge is going to be given the day before the challenge starts. And then you guys have like from that time till 12 o'clock the next day to send your synopsis or treatment or outline or anything that just tells us the story you're about to make. Even though it's not, you might not have a full screenplay or anything. Of course, very few people are able to come up with a complete screenplay, but at least you can come up with a synopsis and with like an outline introducing the characters that will be in the story. So that's another way for us to still verify. And then while you are making your film, Every other hour, you're expected to send like pictures or short videos from your behind the scenes and tag us on the web, on Instagram, so we know you're actually making the movie on the spot. That's the only way to be very fair, to be sure that everybody's compliant to what should be done.
So if you're sending the behind the scenes on Instagram every 1 hour, we're sending it to the to Real Time Film Festival DM.
Yes, you just tag us. You just tag us to say, oh, team, maybe it's team solo producing the movie for the challenge, and you tag us so we can see. So there's always an update. It's not something that should take too much time. Someone with his phone can just do like 5 seconds of you guys doing something and boom, post it. So we know, yes, we can see the progress from when you started to when you finish the challenge, so that nobody can come and say, oh, those guys, they made that film 2 years ago. I know when they made it. Because we have complaints like that. There was here when one team came and said, oh, the other team didn't make their film during the challenge. But of course, those guys were sending updates as they were working, so it could not be disputed. So that's actually the essence of making sure that you send the making of a film as you're doing it, the BTS.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Is there any other question? Because we're here to trash any question. Okay, so if there's no question, I'll just give you guys some tips on how to survive the challenge. So anybody who's not here today, this is a disadvantage to them. So if you guys can take notes, but I'll just give you some tips that have helped people over the years, and they're practical tips that I know as a filmmaker can help anybody. What you guys can start doing now, it's not just for this challenge, even just generally as a filmmaker, what you can start doing is have a handbook where you write out everything that's available to you. So if you know a guy who has a Range Rover Sport, who we allow you use it for a movie, just write it down there, Range Rover Sport. If you know an uncle who has a mansion in Banana Island and he says you can film his house, write it there, Banana Island mansion. If you know someone who owns a canoe and who lives near the river, who says you can use his canoe and he will escort you to the river, write it down there. So what will happen is that every time you have a story idea, you will now look through your assets of all the things you have at your disposal. And if you can fashion a nice story around the things you have at your disposal, you can make a short movie in a way that won't be very expensive, because most of the things you would have spent money on, locations, art direction. Of course, you know that when you find a good location that's really interesting, it already takes away like 80% of the work you need to do in your art direction. So another tip is to find locations and spaces that will just give you that beauty and that depth when people are looking at the picture. So it will look like, okay, you went all the way to set up a market. Meanwhile, you were just at the market filming, or people will feel like maybe you went to set up a mechanic workshop. Meanwhile, you just had it at your disposal to shoot there. So beyond the RTF, beyond this challenge, just make it a habit to have that handbook where you just list everything that you could get for free to use if you want to make a movie. And if you have that handbook and you keep expanding, sorry, my kids are stopping, but if you have the handbook and you keep expanding all the things you have at your disposal, day in, day out, year in, year out, you'll be surprised that in less than 1 year, you have a full handbook of things that are just there for you to use anytime you're ready to make a movie. I hope that helps, actually. Okay, I can't see anybody. Is everybody still there?
Yes, it does. It does. They're here.
Great.
Yes, it does. We're here.
Okay. Okay, so that's basically it. And one thing I'll say is as much as possible, when you're crafting your story for the challenge, one thing that can help you is to tell a story that is not so. I'm not saying people should go and make silent movies and put narratives. I think that has been overflowed now. People just shoot silent movie and put a narrative over it. It's kind of boring nowadays. But I'm just saying there are a lot of things. Intelligent storytelling is not just about talking heads and people talking all the time. There are a lot of things that there are parts of the story that the camera can tell, your camera work, your cinematography. There are parts of the story that your lighting design can do without someone saying the word. There are gestures that convey messages that are stronger than any word could convey. So if someone was upsetting me now, and I'm looking at the person like I'm looking at this camera now, one filmmaker will make me say, you know what, I'm going to kill you today. Another filmmaker will just make me look at the person, not my head, and continue what I'm doing. See, that simple action already tells what's going on in my mind. So you guys try and run away from too much talking heads. So even if at the end of the day you want to do ADR, which is like automated dialogue replacement to get very good audio, that means you have very few lines to record or to dub. Actually, next year, we showed some films from RTF this year at France last month. We took some short films from last year, and we have those kind of partnerships with a couple of festivals and associations and organizations around the world. And part of the deal we're making is that we continue to expose young filmmakers from Nigeria and see if we can do like an exchange program. So there's a very huge possibility that next year we can take this challenge even outside the country. For instance, we take the most outstanding filmmakers from this year's challenge to maybe Ghana or France or the UK, and we put up a challenge with anybody who thinks it's just fun. So it's not, even that would be more like, that would be more of a competition than this. This one is not a competition at all. It's you challenging yourself to be able to make a movie in 20 hours. And if you do it and you can do it well, it gives you the boldness. And I think our biggest success story with the filmmaking challenge is with a movie called Right Words. Right Words was made as in the filmmaking challenge 2017 or 2018, and it won the best real-time filmmaking challenge movie the next year. And they went ahead and made a feature film out of it, and the feature film is showing at the festival this year. So it tells you how just this little thing could just give you a nice push to do something you didn't even think you were prepared for. Okay, so I'll expect you guys, if you have any other questions, so we can trash them out, because we're not going to extend this beyond 7:30.
I have a question.
Yeah.
About the location of the festival. So
Yeah.
far, I've checked the Instagram page, and I haven't found the location of the festival yet, aside the opening ceremony. So where is the festival going to happen, if I may ask?
Okay, the festival is hybrid this year. So what that means is that some things will be live and some things will be virtual. The opening ceremony is live at the Africa Shrine. The day after that, it will be virtual. We'll be showing films online. The training sessions will start and the master classes. Everything will be happening online. On the 22nd, which is Thursday, there's an exclusive event happening at Alliance Francaise, but that's exclusive for just 50 people. And as we speak now, those 50 slots have been taken. But on the same day, there will still be film screenings on our website. So you need to register to get access to see the movies on the website. The good thing is that all the movies on the website have what we call DRM protection, that's digital rights management, the same protection that is used for Netflix and Amazon. So people can't actually do dubious things with the content on the website once we put it there. But then on that 22nd, we have the event at Alliance Francaise. But because Alliance also has some extra space we can use, so for those who registered for the acting classes with Segun Arinze and Kate Henshaw, they will have those classes there that day as well. But for every other training session and masterclass, they will happen online. And then this 22nd, 23rd, the real-time filmmaking challenge starts till 8 a.m. on the 24th. So 23rd, 24th, movies will still be showing online, but the 25th is the closing ceremony. And as we've always done throughout since RTF since we started, is the only films we show at the closing ceremony are films that we made during the challenge. So after your hard work and all your labor and sleepless nights and all the stress, you get the chance to invite your friends and your teammates, and you guys sit down and see this movie you just finished on the big screen in the cinema. And then we have the award ceremony. So that's actually the flow. So that means 20th, 22nd, and 25th, we'll have live events. Every other day will be a mix of live and virtual, but mostly virtual. But all this information is actually, if you go to the website, there's actually no information that isn't on the website. So if you guys could go to the website, any of the information that you need is actually clearly indicated on the website. Yeah. I think let me try and drop the link to the exact page. So all the pages have all the information you might need, but I'll just put the link to this year's edition on the website so that you guys can just follow it and go there straight. But every information you might need is
I have another question to ask.
there. Yeah.
Is there a link to the the short film that we talked about, the right words that won the challenge in 2017? Is there a place that we can find it and watch it?
Let me see. Hold on, just give me a second. Let me see if it's online. Okay, it's not online. But what we can do is this. I think because of this question you asked now, I'm going to speak to the curator. So we'll put the short version of the movie to show on the same day with the feature so people can see where they are coming from. So because of the question you just asked, and I think we're going to do that so people can see where this guy started from, just a movie they made in 20 hours. And it was tastefully and beautifully executed. In fact, we were so proud of that movie and we knew they were going to make a feature out of it, and we weren't surprised when we saw the submission last year. So we'll ensure that we put that movie there. But if I can even get the permission of the filmmaker, we might just put it on the page of the filmmaking challenge for a couple of hours so people can see what they did with their work back then. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Okay, is there any other question? Okay, it's not online, so but we can always get access to it and put it there. I'm sure she'll be proud to share her movie with other people. So that's about everything that you need to know. Another thing is, as much as possible, we expect all the team members to be around for the opening ceremony because, of course, we always introduce the real-time filmmaking challenge is sort of the most important thing to us as a festival because it's the most unique innovation that we have as a festival. And there's no other festival where people go to. Other festivals, people just go to watch films, but in RTF, you come to watch films that were made before the festival. You make films during the festival, and you get to see those films during the festival. So it's something we really cherish. So on the 20th, at the opening ceremony, we're going to be acknowledging all those who are taking part in the Real-Time Filmmaking Challenge because we think they're special people. So as much as possible, everyone should make sure they're there with their team members so that when we acknowledge you guys, we can see you there. Okay, so I think this meeting is going to end faster than I thought because there are no questions. So it's 7:18. I don't think there are more questions. Now you are looking for the questions by force.
Okay, there are no questions. I don't have a question, but I'm really concerned about location because that has been my personal issue since we don't have a story, we're waiting for a theme. I've had that location challenge because I know you said we should get a handbook and all of that, but I don't know. I'm just troubled.
Well, like I said, when I talked about getting the handbook, I think so. If your biggest challenge that you foresee is location, then I think you should pay serious attention to doing your short list of available locations that you could have at your disposal if you really wanted to do anything there. So it could be a hospital, a bookshop, anywhere at all that a film can be made, that you can make something convincing. And I'll give you an example. If you told me to make a movie about a suicide bomber, there's different phases and stages in the life of this suicide bomber that I might want to address. So I might be telling the story from when he wakes up in the morning, that would be a bedroom. I might be telling the story from where he was given instruction to go and blow himself up. That would be like a dungeon or a den or a hideout. That could be a beat down warehouse or a mechanic workshop. Could even be in the middle of a busy street and everybody's walking about and they don't know what these two guys are discussing. So I'm just saying, you guys need to be as creative as possible to, it's all about the creativity. That's why we call it a challenge. It's for you to challenge yourself and bring out those things that you didn't even know you had in you. And if you can do it once, it becomes a culture. And trust me, you will never get stuck making films once you have this mindset.
So I just discovered today that we're going to have a theme. So I'm thinking, I wanted to ask, like, are we having just one theme for the story, or we're going to have themes for it? Because it's kind of, I don't know.
It's just going to be one thing. But you see, the theme is not a story. The theme is a theme. So you make a story around the theme. So the theme could be, let's say the theme is lateness, for instance. I'm not saying that's what's going to be. Let's say the theme is lateness. There are so many things you can talk about lateness. There are so many stories you can tell about lateness. Was it about someone who came late for an event and missed an opportunity? Was it someone who was late to the airport and survived because every other person died because the plane crashed? You see, so at the end of the day, it's just how creative you are. Again, when we do our trainings and all these workshops at RTF, what we target, our goal is to help people to think on their feet. So you are faced with a situation, and let's assume you have like a 3-minute opportunity to pitch an idea to somebody, and it's a story that you've not thought through. You should be able to stand there and craft something and hit it and make it very interesting. You get what I'm trying to say? So again, that's why it's a challenge. We're not trying to make it easy for you guys. The goal is not to make it easy, but the goal is to make sure those who have opened their minds enough to be flexible and to be nimble and to think on their feet all the time, and people who are observant. Anybody who's very observant doesn't find it hard to come up with stories at any point in time. If you told me anything now, if you could try, just give me a theme now, I'll give you 10 stories in 2 minutes. You understand? That's how it's supposed to be. Tell anything at all. So I just talked about lateness. So there's a positive side, there's a negative side. Someone can get a negative result by coming late. Someone else can get a positive result. Because for instance, there was a time when there was this plane crash, when so many generals died. The general who survived it only survived it because his wife didn't allow him to leave the house on time, and he was mad at her. But then when the other person died, he appreciated his wife because it was because of her that he was late to the airport. So both from experience and things I've read and things I've heard and just my imagination, I can always come up with a story with any subject matter. You understand? So that's exactly what we expect you guys to be able to do. So we'll give you a theme. So the beauty of it is that from one theme, so far there are like 76 teams that have registered to take part in the challenge. We have narrowed it down to those of you who received this email. So that's like 22 teams now. And right after this meeting, we're going to shut down the registration for the challenge because each year we try to keep the teams who are taking part in the challenge to like maybe like 20 or 22 maximum, which is what we have already. So right after this Zoom session, we're going to discontinue registration for the filmmaking challenge so that we know those who are taking part in it already and begin to plan for you guys. So nothing comes by accident. So that's it actually. So don't be scared about the fact that we're just going to give you a theme and you have to come up with a story. That's the due diligence you have to do. And like I said, if you get used to doing that, coming up with stories on the go without wasting too much time, trust me, there's a lot that it will do for you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
So is there any other question? I think someone is just doing. Chris just joined. Okay, so Chris, do you have any question? We're about rounding up. We have 6 more minutes, and then we'll be done with this Zoom session. And the next time we'll see will be at the opening ceremony. So Chris, okay, Chris is connecting to his audio. So once his audio is connected, let's find out if he has any question. So Faustina, I believe I've answered all your questions, right?
Yes, you have. Thank you very much.
And secondly, you guys don't go about looking for one big name to be in the movie. Trust me, just find an actor who can interpret what you've written. That's it. The best actor for any movie is not the A-lister. The best actor for any movie is the right character for the story that's been told, not necessarily a big name. So if you get a big name, fine. But getting a big name doesn't mean that you get the interpretation of the characters the way you want. So look out for the person who can interpret your roles. Because again, that's going to take up a lot of work from you while you're directing and trying to finish a movie in 20 hours. Okay, so Coach Chris, do you have any question?
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, sir. I'm
Good
so
evening.
sorry for I didn't see the mail on time. I literally just saw it.
No, voila. So do you have a question concerning how the challenge is going?
Definitely. I actually have no idea. So if it's possible to get kind of summary, I really appreciate it.
Okay, so the summary is this. The summary is this. On the 22nd, you get the theme of the challenge. So we're going to give you guys a topic, a theme. So we're giving you a theme, we're not giving you a story. So from that theme, each person is supposed to come up with a unique story. So the beauty of this is that from one theme, we'll gather at the closing ceremony. Of course, like I said before, at the closing ceremony of RTF, the only thing we show are the films made during the challenge. That's how important this challenge is to us. So when we gather on the 25th at the closing ceremony, we want to see from the short list we've made now, we have 22 teams represented out of 76 that's registered. So from the short list we are hoping to see 22 movies from 22 teams addressing the same theme, but telling different stories. You understand? So that's the thing will be sent on the 22nd. You guys will start the challenge by you will have to submit your synopsis or just a brief outline of the story you want to tell before the challenge starts by 12 o'clock on the 23rd. And it will run for 20 hours. That will be 8 a.m. on the 24th. So you guys can have enough time to rest and recoup your strength for the closing ceremony, because we want you to come to the closing ceremony relaxed, come and see the hard work you've done and feel proud in your finished product on the big screen. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to share some assets with you guys, some things you can use to make your workflow faster, especially things like with the sound design. There are sites where you can there are plugins you can use online with Adobe or standalone to help you with your sound design. And you can use some of them free of charge. If you want to be able to license them, you can pay. But I'm just saying I will share as much as I can, things that you guys can use to help make your workflow faster. But very importantly, make sure you have a good story, make sure you're directing well, make sure you have good actors, make sure your sound is good, and make sure your picture is good. So just like with the films we select to show at the festival, the production value and the artistry are very important to us. And like I told the guys who were here before you joined, one of the biggest sources of pride to us this year is the fact that a movie that was made as part of this challenge like 4 years ago has been remade into a feature film and will be showing at the festival this year. And trust me, it just shows how fun. And if you see the short film they made, it was nothing short of remarkable in 20 hours. And that year was particularly difficult, particularly because everybody was confined to one location. You couldn't go out. We had it in Yabate, so it was within the campus. And so the challenge was finding a spot that someone else was not using, because that was the deal. You couldn't use something else that someone else was using. So with this one, now you guys have the free hand to choose any location. It can be your house, it can be your school, it can be inside the car, it can be in the bathroom, it can be in the bus, it can be in the train, anywhere. Just be creative. And I think what we want to see directions and angles that we were not expecting. So you guys, we expect you to shock us and surprise us. Yeah. So it's officially 1 minute to the end of this meeting. And if there are no more questions, if there's one thing we do very well at RTF, we stick to time. We don't do African time and we don't overshoot time. So it's actually time to wrap this up so we can get back to our preparations for the festival. So if anybody has any more questions, you can send them via mail. But what I'm going to do right after now, because we shortlisted you guys, the 22 teams that will take part, we're going to create a WhatsApp group. So we'll share the links and you guys will join at your own discretion and at your own pace, and so that we can easily communicate there. And something else that's really dear to us is fostering collaboration. So even though you are different teams, if there's someone else in the group who is part of that group who you can collaborate with, yeah, you guys can form those kind of collaborations to help each other out in the challenge. You understand? Okay, so guys, thank you very much. It's officially 7:30 and it's a wrap. Thanks for joining the meeting, and I'll see you guys in the group when it's set up. The group will be supervised by the producer, Rania, or operations manager, Doke. So once you guys join, you'll meet them there and they'll take you through anything else. But I'll be popping in every now and then to answer any questions you guys might have. So see you guys on Sunday. Make sure you're there with your team because we're going to be acknowledging everybody who's taking part in the challenge. So thank you guys and have a nice day.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Yeah,